So if you've driven a car made in, say, the last 10 or 15 years, you've definitely seen it. That little button on the dashboard, usually with a green leaf on it, that says Eco. We all know it's there, but what is it actually doing? It's got to be one of the most common features in modern cars, but it's also one of the most misunderstood.
Right, so you press it. And what happens? The car suddenly feels, I don't know, a little sluggish, right? The acceleration gets kind of lazy, and maybe the air conditioning doesn't feel quite as cold. So what's the deal? Is this just a gimmick that car companies threw in to look green, or is there some really smart engineering at work here trying to save you money? Well, that's exactly what we're going to figure out.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about what this mode even is. Then we'll get into why it was invented in the first place, because it has a pretty cool history. We'll see how it works in a gas car versus an electric one, which is super different. And then the big one, does it actually save you any gas? And finally, we'll take a peek at where all this tech is headed.
All right, first things first, let's get on the same page and just define what we're even talking about here.
So Eco Mode is basically just a software setting. When you push that button, you're not changing anything mechanical. You're just sending a message to the car's main computer that says, hey, listen, for a little while, let's prioritize squeezing every last drop of fuel out of the tank over, raw power. The computer then goes, okay, got it, and it changes the rules for how the engine, the transmission, and even the AC get to behave.
Now, this button didn't just appear out of thin air. Its origins actually go back decades, and it was born from this perfect storm of global politics, new regulations, and some clever engineering. It all really kicks off in the 1970s. You have the 1973 oil embargo, which made gas prices skyrocket, and suddenly everyone wanted cars that didn't guzzle fuel. Then, a couple years later, the U.S. government steps in with these CAFE standards, basically forcing car companies to make their vehicles more efficient or else pay huge fines. And that pressure led to some of the first computerized engine systems, like Chrysler's lean burn. Fast forward to today, and those regulations are stricter than ever, which makes Eco Mode a really important tool for automakers to pass those government tests.
And this brings up a fantastic, almost ridiculous example of how important those tests are. You take something like the Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. We're talking 707 horsepower, a massive, supercharged V8. It's the opposite of eco. So why in the world does it have an eco button? It's simple, really. It helps Jeep get a slightly better score on those official EPA tests, which helps their average across their whole fleet. So here's the kicker. Sometimes that button is less for you, the driver, and more for the car company's report card.
So we know why the button exists, but what's actually happening under the hood when you press it in just a regular gas-powered car?
See, Eco Mode isn't just one thing. It's a whole symphony of tiny adjustments. First, it tells your gas pedal to just chill out a bit. It makes it less sensitive so you don't do those jerky, fuel-wasting starts. At the same time, it tells the transmission, hey, let's shift into a higher gear as soon as possible, which keeps the engine RPMs low and quiet. It even puts a leash on the air conditioner, since that thing can really suck a lot of power. And some of the fancier systems have a coasting function that'll essentially put the car in neutral when you're just cruising, letting you, well, coast without burning any gas at all. But here's where the story takes a huge turn. For electric and hybrid cars, the whole philosophy behind Eco Mode is completely different. It's not just about saving energy anymore. It's about actively getting it back. And the secret sauce to all of this is a concept called regenerative braking. Now, in a normal car, when you hit the brakes, all that forward momentum just gets turned into heat by the brake pads. It's totally wasted energy. But in an EV or a hybrid, the electric motor can actually run in reverse. It acts like a tiny generator, using the car's own momentum to create electricity and send it right back into the battery. Pretty cool, right? And this slide just nails the fundamental difference. The best way to think about it is this. In a gas car, Eco Mode is playing defense. It's trying to stop you from wasting fuel. But in an electric car, Eco Mode is playing offense. It's aggressively trying to recapture every single bit of energy it possibly can to give you more range. So in an EV, when you press that Eco button, it cranks that regenerative braking way up. Often, it's so strong that you can do what's called one-pedal driving, where just lifting your foot off the accelerator slows the car down pretty significantly, all while recharging the battery. Of course, it also softens the throttle and dials back the AC, all in the name of squeezing every last mile out of that battery pack. Okay, so here we are, the big question. After all this technology, all this engineering, does pressing that button actually save you money at the pump? Does it make a real difference? Well, the answer is,
It's complicated. You look at what the car companies claim, and the numbers look amazing. BMW says you can get up to a 25% improvement. Ford once claimed 24% on one of their cars. But then you go online and see what real drivers are saying, and the story changes. BMW owners report something more like 10 to 15%, and you look at forums for a truck like the F-150, and it's all over the place. Some guys see a little bump, others see nothing. The general consensus is pretty clear. Your mileage will literally vary.
And this really highlights that huge gap between tests done in a perfect lab and what happens out on the actual road. Official ratings are done in perfectly controlled conditions, but in the real world, you've got traffic, hills, wind, and your own right foot to deal with. And this isn't just a gas car thing. An independent test found a Nissan Leaf's real-world range was almost 11% less than its official rating. It just proves that lab results are almost always the best-case scenario.
So when should you actually use it? Well, Eco Mode is fantastic for city driving with all the stop and go. The gentle acceleration really helps there. It's also great for just cruising at a steady speed on the highway. But, and this is really important, you should absolutely turn it off when you need instant power. Think merging onto a busy highway or trying to climb a steep hill. That dulled throttle response can go from a minor annoyance to a genuine safety issue. So where is all this headed? What's the future for this little button? Well, the funny thing is, the future of Eco Mode is that there is no Eco Mode. Or, to be more precise, there's no button for it.
You can think of the eco button as sort of a transitional technology, a bridge. We're moving away from a system where the driver has to manually choose to be efficient to a future where the car is just smart enough to be efficient all the time, automatically, without you even thinking about it.
And the tech that's making this happen is called predictive powertrain control. Now, it sounds super complex, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's an AI system that's linked to your car's navigation and GPS. It can see the road ahead. It knows there's a big hill coming up in a mile, so it adjusts the engine now. It sees that the traffic light a half-mile away just turned red, so it starts coasting. It's basically making all of those perfect, hyper-efficient driving decisions for you, invisibly, in the background. And really, that's the end goal, isn't it? The Eco button taught us all to start thinking about efficient driving as a choice. The next generation of cars, they're just going to make it the default. A future where maximum efficiency isn't a special mode you have to select, but the very foundation of how your car operates, all the time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.